Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Derek, last time we ended with Moses out there with the burning bush. And it's obvious that he's talking to God.
Right.
No doubt about that. But what's God doing with him?
Well, see, God is trying to prepare Moses to be a deliverer. You see, the people have been enslaved, and they have called out to God. They have called out to him, and he's heard their cries. And now he is trying to send to them a deliverer, and that is the man Moses. And so Moses is going to go back, and I think it's interesting, like you noted before, he is acting as a shepherd in this case, but he also has a great connection with Egypt as well. So he is, so well equipped. God chose, someone that was so well equipped to do this. He's going to send him back to Egypt to get the people out of slavery. So here Moses, and he goes and he approaches the king, he approaches Pharaoh, and there he is before him, and he says what God told him to say: "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's stubborn. Pharaoh does not want to listen, and in fact, I think in some ways Pharaoh holds himself up higher than all the rest. I mean, he is the king after all; he's Pharaoh, and so here he is, and he just says no. He's not going to do this, and so God brings about a series of plagues.
Right.
These plagues are to show Pharaoh and the Egyptian people the power of God, but they are also to challenge the gods that the Egyptians had. And so one by one, as you go through, and you can see, the Egyptians love to worship the Nile. That they love to worship the Nile River. In fact, it provided for them so much nourishment, so much. The Nile was so important, and yet, God, one by one, he attacks their gods. He attacks the Nile. He attacks by sending frogs, by other different, different plagues that he sends to the people. And I find it so interesting how God, he just so strategically shows them who truly is in charge. Can you tell us a little bit more about these gods that were there in Egypt?
Well, the interesting thing is, you've already pointed out the Nile. They viewed the Nile as basically the source of life.
Right.
And it had to be, in their view, because if you think about it in human terms, all the fertility around the Nile was the way they were able to raise their crops.
Right.
The way they were able to feed their animals.
Right.
Whatever, anything like that. So that one goes down right at the start. The frogs, they worship frogs.
Right.
And then they've got this furnace that's devoted to a god, and the ashes out of that furnace are supposed to be a blessing.
Right.
And God causes, Moses, they throw these ashes in the air, and it turns into boils.
Ouch.
On everybody. And it's like, wait a minute, And even the sun, they worship the sun. And so darkness for 3 days, it's like, you worship the sun, I'm better than that God.
Right.
God's doing that over and over and over again. And finally, we come to the greatest God in the land of Egypt. And you've already alluded to it. It's Pharaoh. It's Pharaoh. They worship Pharaoh. And when God says, one more plague, one more. And this is going to be the death of the firstborn. Now, maybe we don't always think about this, but the firstborn should have been the next Pharaoh.
Right. Yeah.
So God is saying, I'm greater than you are.
Right.
All the way down the line. And with the death of the firstborn, really two things happen. One, all the gods of Egypt have gone down before the God of heaven. But two, God's faithful people are delivered.
They are.
If they followed his instructions, if they killed the lamb, if they put the blood on the doorpost, then their firstborn did not die. Now, they belong to God. And we're going to talk about that maybe later as we look on into the book of Exodus. But God has basically saved their lives. They belong to him. And as these people look at all of this, God's people ought to be realizing, you know what? We worship a powerful God. We worship a great deliverer.
That's right.
And even though we didn't see the way out, he already had a plan.
That's right.
And the plan's at work. And everybody, you and I both need to realize it still works that way.
He does.
Now, God doesn't work miracles today to deliver us, but God's still got a plan.
He does.
He's still working for all of us. Now, how's he going to do it? Well, I doubt anybody in Israel would have said, oh, he's going to have all these plagues. I don't think anybody would have figured that out. Well, I don't know how he's going to work in my life or your life, but if you and I will submit to the God of heaven, he will finally deliver. Thanks so much for another 5 minutes in the Word.